And welcome back to the TK Pod. Shout out to the millions and millions out there on the YouTube. I made this look so good. I love the overlay. It's homey, feels nice, simple, gets to the point. Honestly, I need to update tylerkluver.com because there's just a lot of changes that need to be made there. But we love the rebrand. The TK Pod, really enjoying that. Made just ever so slight changes to the thumbnail for the audio. I guess I don't know the audio platforms. Uh, change the color, change the title, pretty much the same design, and I like it. We're rolling. This is like I don't know 7 or 8 TK pods now. So we're back for another this week. There's no more. Well, I shouldn't say that. I was gonna say there's no more talks of competitions because the 2 competitions that I've done, really I would say the only 2 legit CrossFit competitions I've ever been a part of, um, on any sort of scale happened, within a 17-day window, and that was a really fun experience. We're gonna talk about what I learned from those today. Sort of, I don't know, some self realizations or some confirmations as far as why I do this shit, why I mean, to some extent, why I get on here and talk about fitness and exercise and CrossFit and training and any of the health stuff that I do on a consistent basis, and sometimes feels like I'm talking into the void, and I mean to a large extent I am, and I know that. So why do I continue to do that? We're gonna answer that question today. But more so, why do I train? Why do I do these competitions? Why is it fun for me to be involved in, putting myself on a leaderboard and stuff like that? And just a lot of realizations about even some more minutia kind of things, like things that happen during a comp and the way that athletes behave and the way that, as an athlete, you can have success over others, uh, outside of just, hey, how good am I at burpees and power cleans or something like that? Like all the other little stuff that goes into a live competition that I had to deal with and manage at these 2 competitions to help be successful. So, um, obviously the two competitions were great. I think on a large scale, one of the things that I wasn't necessarily looking for anything when I went into these two things, right? I was pulled into this because coach of the gym, Isaac, wanted to do a partner competition way back in like September of last year. So I said, sure, why not? It's local. I mean, the competition is at a gym that was quite literally it's the closest CrossFit competition to my house or CrossFit gym to my house. It's a mile and a half. So I could just drive over. It was a 1 day thing, 3 events, 4 scores. And hey, why not compete? I do this all the time. Take an opportunity where I don't have to do anything. I can drive right down the road and we can have a little fun competition. He says after that, along with Reggie, who was in that competition as well, why don't we hey, why don't we put a team together for Wadapalooza, see what we can do? And that's how the whole Wadapalooza thing happened. The rest is history on that. We way overperformed. It was fun. It was amazing. But like, we didn't qualify for that division. Even though we got 7th out of 40, we did not qualify for that division. We were kind of on the outside in. We didn't even know what that would look like. And then this other one had kind of been semi-planned or subconsciously thought about for the last year because a lot of the guys that we went down and saw that are from that area and competed last weekend, or I guess 2 weekends ago at this point, they have done this once or twice already. And I knew that I was going to potentially be in the mix to be somebody's partner for that thing. Okay. So they kind of happened to just all happen at the same time. Why would I wait till 30 years old on my way to 31 to do my first real CrossFit competitions and start to get more experience in the live setting? That's a great question. I've had some thoughts about, hey, maybe because of the way my life has gone and the decisions I've made and the timing that I've approached things with, maybe it's my destiny within this sport if I'm going to continue to do it. And right now, I don't know why I would stop. I mean, at the lowest level, and this is always the question, at the lowest level, I can't imagine doing anything else but CrossFit for just my daily fitness, my daily exercise. And the only thing that makes it a competition is you signing up for it, right? Sure, yes, there's the intent, there's how you train to do these things. Like, are you training to be a competitor? That really only determines whether you place well or not, or whether you qualify for higher divisions. There is still plenty of competitions to do out there if you're just a generally kind of fit person within the CrossFit space. So the competition will always be there if I want it. Um, and maybe it's I don't know, I don't want to say destiny, but maybe it's my future, my story that some of my best competition days are when I get into these later years of uh, later years when I get into my master's years, as it would be termed in the fitness community, which in the sport of CrossFit, masters divisions start at 35 years old. That is what the CrossFit community, the competitive fitness community has deemed the age at which, okay, now there's a significant decline of whatever life factors you have, general aging, time in the game. You are, 10, 15 years deep into a career, uh, maybe 10 or 15 years deep into having a family, kids, their activities. That is the age at which they've classified, okay, we need to make another division because anybody 35 plus, it's going to be very hard for them to compete with the open division or just the elite pro division, right? We are 4 years away from that, a little over 4 years away from being a masters competitor in a sense. And maybe that's where I end up. Maybe I continue to just, I'm never going to be great at this level, but if I can sustain this output and this sort of training for the next 3 to 4 years, maybe even continue to get better. When I hit 35, could I do some damage in the 35 to 39 division at Wadapalooza or in the main CrossFit Games season or, at some of these other big competitions? And we'll see. I don't know what that looks like, but that's sort of a bigger thing that kind of came up subconsciously just by participating in this stuff. Um, when it's live, there aren't many people that do it like me. That's my next biggest takeaway about this thing. When it's live, when it's 3, 2, 1, go, and you're looking down the lanes at your other competitors, and this is not to sound corny or like beat my drum. This is just like a legitimate observation processing of these events. And the results show it. So I don't have to back it up. The numbers don't lie. Is when it's live and it's 3, 2, 1, go, and you're on the floor with your competitors and you're racing against other people. It's not just you in a gym going against the clock. It's you against other people. You're looking down, hey, we got to go faster. We got to beat this team or we got to hold this team off. Even though you're not technically you're still just doing it as fast as you can. There is a little bit of gaming to it. Sometimes you have to think on the fly. We had that one workout at Wadapalooza where the workout was changed 2 minutes before we went out there. You have to adapt. You have to deal with all the stuff that I talked about 1 or 2 weeks ago, where I kind of broke down why there's some qualifier athletes that are good and there's other athletes that do better in live competition. You add that stuff in there as well. I'm a game day athlete. That shouldn't be a shock to me or anybody else. That's the environment and background that I come from. I have experience in performing actually a very uh, kind of minutia um, accuracy under pressure task in front of hundreds of thousands, millions of people in a couple of the games that we played in. If you count people watching at home on TV, very high pressure situations with tons on the line. I was in those situations. I am a game day athlete. Give me the adrenaline of being in front of the crowd. The clock rolls, 3, 2, 1, go. I will perform at my potential or maybe even exceed what I thought was possible of myself in those moments when a lot of people will start to fumble. They'll start to make mistakes. Mental slip up here. Lots to consider in these workouts. Where do you chalk? Where do you tighten your belt? Do you bring your belt? Do you pull your knee sleeves up? What's the rep scheme? Can you hold that rep scheme in your head once you start to get tired? Can you rely on your part? Can you take over for a partner when you if you're in a partner workout when you need to under fatigue on the fly? Can you direct things? There's moving components of all this stuff. And it's fun to go to 2 competitions, one that we backfilled into, the other that we were the last place qualifier to, and go and place top 10 in both. And not rinky dink competitions. We're talking national level. Both of these, I believe both of these competitions had teams or individuals come from every state in the continental US. You're talking, this is a national competition. Wadapalooza, international. Teams from all over the place. And we got 7th in the first, other than the pro division, we got 7th in the next division. It's good to go and be battle tested and come out on top. I consider that coming out on top. That is battling, going in, competing against people that, you could go in and be totally scared. Man, I don't know. I don't is my training enough? Are these guys better than us? Like, should we be conservative? We went in, balled out, figured out that we're game day guys. I'm a game day guy. That's fun. That's one of the things I learned. Um, especially at Wadapalooza, but the other one as well. The off the field, we'll call it, off the comp floor kind of stuff. Things that you have to consider outside of the rep scheme and the movements, basically, in the time frames, like nutrition and recovery and sleep and warm up, warming up enough but not too much, how much time you give yourself, what equipment you wear, how you spend your downtime between events, what you get, again, back to nutrition, how you recover with protein, how what kind of pre-workout routine are you on? What do you need to get up and get going to the bathroom, making sure everything's right, all the OCD stuff. At these competitions in the fitness world, you can grab 1, 2, 5, 10 places on a team or another individual by having all of that extracurricular stuff dialed in. And man, do people not have it dialed in. People are scrambling. People are horrible at nutrition, or they're there to, hey, and that's fine. They may have different objectives, but that doesn't change that they're competing in the same division as you. So if I go down there locked in, I'm not having, I'm not going out at night. I'm getting 9 hours of sleep. I'm booking my hotel at the convention center. So I have to walk 4 minutes downstairs to go to like all this different stuff. You can gain spots on people. And I just realized that I overthink to the level of being fully prepared. What am I gonna have for food today? What do my 3 meals look like today? When am I gonna be able to go to bed? When do I wake up so that I can get down there? This gives me that much warm up time. I can start my all the way down to, like, my shoulder was still bothering me at the second competition from the first one. How many minutes out do I need to take ibuprofen so that my shoulder feels just right as we walk out onto the competition floor? How do we manage the corral time? There is a million things. And I guess this kind of parlays into the what I was just talking about of when it's live, I'm live. I'm that guy. I also am that guy when it comes to all those extracurriculars. And I believe that a lot of our success came from details on the small things. When everybody else says, "Yeah, I'll figure that out." "Oh, yeah, I should go get a little pre-workout in me." "Oh, yeah, I haven't thought about dinner tonight. What should we have?" All that's planned ahead. And that helps dial things in so that when the workout comes around, you have nothing else to worry about other than to light it up and go play. Um, that's kind of competition side things. On the outside, the kind of people that go to these things, especially Miami with this next one, but a little bit at Charleston. Um, A lot of it's superficial, man, and I knew this, but I don't really get outside of my house much. I don't leave my house. I'm a loser, right? I train in my garage. I hang out with my wife and kid at home. I go to get groceries on Monday. Like, that's my life, and a lot of these people are going to these competitions so they can take the picture. So that, they can, "Hey, got my badge, got checked in, I'm an athlete. I'm on the beach, look at me." And some of it's fun. Again, some of it's fun. You're supposed to enjoy the experience and not just be robot locked in. But the amount of, like, TikTok, social media content being filmed, all the pros, which I understand part of their livelihood is the media side of things, and they have obligations to sponsors that support them financially. But the amount of just camera people following them around, everything's recorded. It makes you think. I don't know if a lot of people are doing this because they love it. I think a lot of people might be doing it because 'cause they're good at it or because they get paid to do it, and they might like it. They like working out. They might like competition. But when it comes to me, I think one thing that was confirmed more than anything was not many people love this shit the way that I do. And again, I'm not tooting my own horn here. I'm not. I think it might be an issue that I love this, that I love, for some fucking reason, competitive exercise this much, right? This is my sport. I'm 30 years old. I'm washed up. It literally says it behind me if you're watching the YouTube. My football career, my sports career as a true athlete is long gone. This is what I compete in now. And I love this shit probably more than a lot of the pros do. I don't get paid. I spent thousands of dollars to go and compete in those 2 competitions. Hotels, flights, meals, my own gear. I will say we got a free belt, a couple free t-shirts sent to us to wear down there. We don't have sponsors. I'm freaking out because we get free energy drinks, right? Like, that's what's cool to me. I'm like, "Oh my god, they're giving us free. This is so sick." Bought my own shoes, bought my own gear, my own belt, bought my entire gym that I train in. It's been fucking 0 degrees for the last month in Iowa. Sunday, my active recovery day, I'm out there hitting 2-minute intervals on the rower, 7 degrees. I'm in tights and a sweatshirt. You can see my breath. Why? Psycho. For some reason, I love the feeling, I love the thought of knowing that I'm out here grinding rowing intervals, and most people aren't. Relative to Earth, really nobody is. But even in the sport, a lot of people are resting. A lot of people chose to, I'll go for a walk. I'll take the day off. It's cold. I don't wanna go work out in the garage. It's cold. Fuck that. I love that shit. And it works. I've seen myself get better. I've seen myself elevate in the sport, right? And it's good to confirm my psychopathy. Is that a word? Psychopathy. The psychoticness of my love for this stuff. I love this CrossFit kinda training to be just a all-around athlete, look like why do I look like I do at 30 years old as a father of almost 2 children now? I just love it. I love it. And that's why I continue to do it. And that's why I don't think I see I don't anytime soon, I don't see a horizon on my competitive journey here. And that's where we go with the next part of this conversation as we wrap this up in the next 5 minutes. Um, where does this leave us? Right? The whole thing has been the CrossFit season. It's where everybody competes. And for the last 4 years, it was really set up well for a guy like me. There was 4 stages. The CrossFit Games, at which I'm never going to get to, right? So you can just count that one out. But the other 3 were attainable. the CrossFit Open is available to everybody, and if you do well enough, it changed year to year, but if you did well enough and you were in a certain percentile, you qualified for the quarterfinals. And the quarterfinals was a perfect spot for an athlete like me because it gave you a condensed amount of people to compete with, a condensed leaderboard, higher skill, higher weight workouts, workouts that weren't as qualifier-ish. They were more live event kind of workouts, stuff that better suited me, better tested fitness overall. And it gave you that carrot on a stick, at least, again, guys like me, guys who aren't in the top 200 in the country, but they might be in the top 500 in the country. And depending on those workouts, you push yourself just enough, you can really play the game and dabble up there with some of the big dogs. To the point where I found myself within the top 100, 120 guys on a leaderboard, of which they took the top 60 to the next level. And so I was right there chasing that next level for the last few years. And then semifinals is obviously a in-person event. Very, very cool to make a semi. You're unbelievably fit if you make a semifinal as an individual. And then the games takes the best 5 from each of those semifinals. But that was the that was the push. Like every year I can see what I place in the open. Every year I can see what I place in the quarterfinals, and I can chase that semifinal level. Well, they've gone back to just 3 stages. They cut the quarterfinals out again. And that might be why these off-season events, or at least 1 or 2 every year, depending on where they are and which ones they are, might be the focus moving forward. Because for me, because again, the open, depending on how it's programmed, is not going to be my jam. I'm going to do well. I'm going to place in the top 5 percentile. I'm going to beat 95% of people that do it. It's probably not going to be good enough to advance me straight to a semifinal or straight to the level at which you can participate in the online semifinal. We're not exactly sure what that looks like. So I basically get the open to see, hey, where do I stack up? And then my season's over officially under the CrossFit veil. I can get myself up to train for that, at the beginning of every year. I can train for 2 months and kind of dial in and try and be ready for the open. But for me, again, it's how many times can I put myself on a leaderboard and feel like I have something to really attack? And the open, I don't know if it's going to be enough to do that for me every year, which is why doing these qualifiers and then the 2 events that we did ended up actually happening in person, traveling down to go do those. That's what fires me up. Is going to stuff like that, and maybe even going to stuff like that year after year, if I can make it to the same competitions, and trying to improve my placement. Which is why, um, we're in another qualifier right now. Get to that in a second. The Open starts, as you hear this, on the 19th of February, in 1 week, the 27th. So a week and a day. You'll hear one more podcast come out, before the Open is officially open. But it's here in 8 days. And again, a very small percentage move on. I will have a lot of fun doing those workouts, uploading my score to the leaderboard, seeing where I stack up, going against the guys in the gym. But I don't know if that's going to be it. And I don't think this one will actually be happening, but I'm in another qualifier right now. As you guys hear this, the qualifier will have ended. The submission dates will be final. My scores will be in. We'll see where I'm at on the leaderboard. But the first form monster games that happened in Kansas City, Missouri. Actually, I think it's in Overland Park, Kansas. Basically, Kansas City. In July, are a somewhat big event, probably one of the top 3 events in the Midwest every year. And I've never done anything with it. I think a couple guys at the gym have done the qualifiers the past couple years, but I've never touched it. Well, this year, it opened up a week before we went to Charleston, but I wasn't gonna do qualifier workouts before we went and did the competition. So we shoved all these qualifiers into like a 5-day window here, basically Friday through Tuesday. And I've done 5 of the 6. Really happy with the one I did this morning. Maybe we'll talk about it at a later date, but we have one more to do tomorrow. It's going to be a grinder, burpees and squat cleans, and we'll see where we end up. But again, this is the stuff that fires me up. This is why I continue to do it. I spent my $25. I'm on the leaderboard, and I want to see not just there's a little bit to prove here too. It's I'm at the peak of my fitness right now. I think I am the fittest I've ever been all around. Hopefully the open shows that this year. But I want more data points to prove that. I want to see it. And I like the adrenaline of competition, having to step up to the plate and hit the pitch. And so this Monster Games qualifier gives me another opportunity to do that. And if I can convince the wife in some way, in another world, if somehow magically this all works out, and even though we have a 7-week-old baby at the time, I can go and do this competition. That would be very cool if I can qualify for the RX division. I'm not going to do well. I think you actually have to be on a separate leaderboard for this one to make intermediate. So if I don't qualify, I don't qualify. Um, we'll see where I end up. I certainly not knocking it out of the park. I'm not going to be an absolutely going to qualify for this, but we'll see. And it's this kind of stuff. I might just be a qualifier guy. I might do 4 or 5 qualifiers a year and just compete on leaderboards in that fashion. Who knows? I don't know what the frequency of this is moving forward. Again, Masters athlete in 4 years. A lot of these competitions, Wadapalooza, the Charleston one, this Monster Games one, they have 35-year-old divisions. And if I can just maintain fitness, if I don't get a single lick better from now until then, but I can be this fit in 4 years when I'm 35, I can be pretty high on some of those 35-year-old leaderboards. And again, maybe that's where we end up. I don't know what it looks like. So, lots to consider and sort of stuff that I've been mulling over in my head, in my own personal endeavors of competitive exercise over the last month or so. Um, who knows if I do any of these competitions again? I would like to limit the amount of times I'm flying and having to spend entire 3-4 day weekends away from the wife and kid. Uh, that's a factor. And there's plenty of other factors as well. But glad you guys could join us for the TK Pod episode. I don't know. We're almost at 200. This might be 199. We'll be back to preview the Open next week. See you then.